Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? My name is Taj, aka Tropic, and we're here for another wonderful edition of the Good Bit Show. So, those of you that don't know, every single week on Saturdays, we like to dive into all the positive stories that happens to be happening in the world of Bitcoin that has nothing to do with the charts, anything to do with all the craziness that you're seeing on the global stage, but the positive, the feel good side of things that doesn't have to do with price whatsoever. So there's a lot going on in the Bitcoin world. Yes, we have amazing trading spaces. We have live streams with just a whole amazing crew of people. But on Saturdays, we like to dive into the stories that feature the feel good moments, I guess you would say, the human side of Bitcoin. And we like to feature the various builders that are doing all the amazing onboarding that are helping to spread Bitcoin adoption around the world. We highlight circular economies and of course the tech that allows all of that. And that's what the Good Bit Show is. Now, normally I dive into a list of stories and go through the whole thing, but this one is actually going to be centered primarily around one main story and is going to touch all three areas. Yes, we're going to get the feel good side. We're going to get the positive vibes. We're going to get the circular economies. We're going to get the code developers that are doing the onboarding, all that stuff. And it all kicks off right here in this particular blog that is featuring a particular project, which I think is absolutely amazing. Now, a lot of times we think of Bitcoin circular economies, we think of these Lightning wallets on usually Android phones around the world. Yes, there's iOS and you can use iPhones because most of these wallets do have the iOS version. However, in the developing world, whether it's South America, LATAM, whatever you want to say, the developing nations all around the world, the continent of Africa, most of them are going to be using Android phones. However, I think this is one that's really, really cool, worth highlighting in the sense that these circular economies, these Bitcoiners are sending sats without using smartphones. Now, I had featured in a previous week, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, featuring all the amazing things that's happening in Kenya and various things using feature phones. But this one is just all encompassing. I want to dive into this really quick right here. So, building Bitcoin for rural Bitcoiners, the Rurbit story. And this particular developer's name is Wilfred, and he is a person that was going through the Trezor Academy. Now, those of you that don't know, Trezor Academy has all sorts of various local initiatives that teaches people how to onboard onto Bitcoin in various countries. I mean, there is a group, there is a person that allows all of these different things. So this actually was, I believe, yeah, the my Chankura wallet that was one of those feature phone Bitcoin wallets that I dove into. And that was in South Africa. My bad. Earlier I said it was in Kenya. Kenya was the Tondo wallet. But yes, this my Chankura, you can tell I'm a Jamaican, American accent, so forth and whatnot. But I'm struggling with the little pronunciation of this particular app right here. But that was another feature phone one that we like to feature, the Afrobit. There's a lot of stuff happening on the African continent itself, but all around the world. Like you can see the various countries. As you can see, some of these flags, these are some communist nations. Some of them are really locked down. Even in Cuba, actually, there's local Bitcoiners doing various things. Free countries as well too, not just the lockdown countries. There's people that just want to exit the current status quo and go into the Bitcoin standard. But here you go. You can see all the local onboarders, if you will, educators in various countries. So Trezor Academy is a great resource for that. You want to connect, you want to see what's going on. They have their X pages, their LinkedIn, they have highlight these various educators. There's a profile just really teaching people about them, about the organization itself, and some really cool things too. So you can just scroll through. Again, this is Trezor.io, but academy.trezor.io specifically. And you can go to the various ones. This one's near and dear to my heart. Of course, I said I live right here in Jamaica. And Dread, who developed the Flash wallet, the LN Flash, or at LN Flash is here on X, is the wallet that we onboard on when we do workshops here. But there's other people as well. It's nice to see the various flags all around the world. Just really cool. Mexico. And again, so many countries they can go. You can find a local organization, whether you're in Tanzania, Namibia, all of these different ones. Really, really cool. Just a great place to get resources, but not just that too. But you can have upcoming meetups, past meetups, testimonials, frequently asked questions, learn how to do onboarding, how to do workshopping, all of these different things. You can do it right here. Trezor Academy is a great place for doing that. But going back to the story right here, again, one that just kind of touches everything that is near and dear to my heart and kind of what we like to do on the show. So, again, this gentleman started off with a Trezor certificate, right? As you can see here, he went through Trezor Academy. And a little background about him: before, obviously, he went and started to launch his own project, his application, if you will, to help to onboard people. One of the interesting things about Trezor Academy, is they really inspire people to not just learn about Bitcoin, what it can do for them, but it also, the instructors like to challenge the various individuals to find problems that are local, things that they care about, things that are frustrating to them, that they will have a fire under their butt to go out there and solve these problems using Bitcoin, and then they connect them with the developers. So this gentleman right here went through the whole thing. He has a somewhat of a technical background, went to school and all that stuff, but Wilfred, again, you can see his bio, look it up, all the stuff and anything. But what I really think is just interesting is that after he went through the Trezor Academy, learned about all this stuff, he then gets connected with the dev community, if you will, the Bitcoin developers, and he starts to look around and see what problems he could solve. And those of us that have grown up in, whether it is in the US or grown up in North America, Canada, Europe, even a lot of those countries, it is fairly easy to move funds around. The inflation issue, yes, it's there. Everybody experiences inflation as governments print more money, but it's not as serious. Now, when it comes to restrictions of moving funds in Nigeria, if you're located in Nigeria, for example, if you go to certain e-commerce websites, either A, it just won't even load because you're in Nigeria, you have to use a VPN or whatever it might be. Or if you try to make a payment there, like a credit card payment, they're not going to accept it. So that's one of the reasons why that we like Bitcoin. We're able to make purchases. There's no restrictions, as far as nobody really cares if the sats came from someone who KYC'd or not, or someone who is in Nigeria or whichever country that might have a high risk profile, whatever that a normal bank would. And a lot of times too has nothing to do with even risk. It's more so political. Not going to go down that rabbit hole. Hey, we're here for the positive vibes, the positive stories. So you can go research that on your own, how the financial system is often weaponized against various people and countries and people who have different ideas than whoever's controlling banking. But anywho, going back to this right here, what I find is really, really interesting. This gentleman goes through, learns about Bitcoin. He goes through the academy. And the cool thing about that, like, you get a full all-encompassing Bitcoin thing, not just price go up, all the problems that we like to talk about. You're going to get rich overnight, preserve generational wealth. No, this is the core fundamentals of why we do this. This is why it's important. These are the various elements, whether it is the mining, the running a node, etc., or the payments, how Lightning actually enables all this stuff. So you get all-encompassing education. But then when you go out into the real world, as you can see in this picture right here, right, you look around, you start to see various problems that you can solve. And one of the biggest problems is, how do I move money to my family and friends in a cheap and efficient way? Now, if you have ever interacted with someone who uses Western Union, MoneyGram, or any of the other programs, believe it or not, even PayPal is a complete nightmare. Yes, it's a headache at times in the US. If you're a merchant, you've ever had a dispute by someone who's actually quite fraudulent, trying to pull one over and get money out of your business, most likely you're going to lose. That is a complete headache when it comes to PayPal. However, when it comes to actually just being able to on and off ramp into PayPal, it's very hard and very difficult. In a lot of countries, you can receive money in your PayPal account. You can add money into your PayPal account, but how do you actually get that back out? So if you're selling t-shirts or whatever it is online, your services online, someone pays you in PayPal, unless you can find another merchant that is accepting PayPal, in many places it's very difficult to off ramp and anything. So anywho, he finds this huge problem. And of course, in a lot of these places, a lot of communities that are underprivileged, if you will, not exactly developed, even if they can afford a smartphone, the infrastructure, the cell infrastructure might not be the best. So how do you send and use sats in the most rural, remote locations that doesn't have data? And even if you have the most flagship, came out yesterday smartphone, right? it doesn't matter if you have no data. Like your phone is then just kind of locked to the device itself. So you have your Bitcoin, can't connect to the internet. Well, the problem that he went out there was with, well, how can I use the current infrastructure using these dumb phones, if you will, the feature phone? We like to call them bangers here in Jamaica. It's a feature phone, like the old ones, those Nokia bricks that are indestructible. Well, not just those, but they have a whole bunch of new ones too as well. And these feature phones, how are you going to use that and transfer money? How are you going to send sats? Well, the problem that he was solving with this, after connecting, of course, with the bit devs and getting into the ecosystem, learning about the fundamentals, learning how to develop and use APIs and all of these different things. Again, Trezor Academy, Plan B, which is another one. Those of you that don't know, let's see. Let's pull this up. There was Plan B right here. Plan B Network. They do a lot of scaling Bitcoin adoption, turning the world orange, as the logo says right here, but a lot of education, but not just, hey, come into Bitcoin because this is better money, but hey, this is what you can do with Bitcoin besides price go up, watching charts. This is the type of stuff that really impacts and motivates people. And when you have a problem that is serious enough to you, your community, your family, and so on, you're motivated to solve that problem. That doesn't matter about price go up and all that like speculation stuff. You have a serious problem. Your family needs food. Their breadwinner is abroad working on a farm, whatever it might be. And how are they going to put food on the table for their brothers and sisters, their siblings, their children, whatever it might be? Well, this is the type of thing that motivates people. Well, okay, cool. We're going to send Bitcoin. We're going to use Lightning. But guess what? Where they're at, they have no internet access. Well, they can have a weak cell phone service, and using the infrastructure that they have, well, Plan B, Trezor Academy, people like that will put you into connection with how you can use current infrastructure to then integrate Bitcoin. So going back to this story right here, using the Blink API, oftentimes I speak about Blink, and those of you that don't know, Blink, of course, not only just being the blog that we're currently on, but Blink is the wallet that was originally the Bitcoin Beach wallet, which then now is an open wallet. They can use the APIs. You can use the various Lightning Network plugins. You can build on this. You can customize it, put your own local colors, put it in your own language and so forth. But all this information is how you plug it in, you integrate it, you can use it, localize it, if you will, all of that within really minutes. And you don't even have to be the most technical developer to do that, especially now with AI tools. Really, if you have a serious burning problem monetarily within your country, your region, it might not even be a national problem. It could literally be a regional problem. You're cut off. The roads are bad. You don't have any banks in the area. It is a complete headache to go into town to restart, whatever it might be. This is a thing that you can use. You can build your own wallet. It could be even just like a local town wallet if you really wanted to do so. You were motivated enough to do that. But going back to this right here with Rubits right here, this is the banger, right? The feature phone, if you will. So a lot of people don't know this. The vast majority of the world doesn't have an AT&T, a Verizon, or a Vodafone, or whatever it might be, where you're paying monthly. At the end of the month, you get your bill and it just renews. You have subsidized phones, all the stuff. Things are very different once you go outside the world. You're buying your phone in cash. And then also what you're using is a prepaid phone card a lot of the times, in the sense that like you're pressing star 121 and hashtag number sign, whatever you want to call it. Then there'll be a code, whatever it might be. This sounds really complicated from the US, never experienced this. I know it sounds crazy, but you press star 121, put in the code, the number of let's say you bought, in my case in Jamaica, if you put $100, $200, $300 worth of Jamaican dollars of credit, then you get the little printout, or you get one of the cards, you scratch off the little code, you put that in, and then your phone is topped up, right? Now you have that money that you can then go use, make phone calls, buy internet, and so on. But with this, people are also, in particular in Africa, also use this as a form of money transfer, if you will. They use these codes, these short codes, to send value from country to country or region to region using these feature phone menus, right? So menu, balance, receive, all this stuff. And it's all just using star code, star, pound, whatever it might be. Again, whatever you're trying to do, the menu pops up and you just go through that. Well, USDD is, or USSD is a way people are sending dollars, right? So remittance are coming from the States, South Africa, wherever it may be, to whichever rural region that they're using. They press these codes, they do all the stuff. They can transmit money through these wires. And then using that same infrastructure, using the APIs from the Blink Wallet. Now, this is how this guy says, hey, I want to get people onto Bitcoin. The problem that we're having is that they don't have internet access or smartphones. Okay, cool. What are people currently using to solve their problem? And we can make it better, cheaper, faster, and more efficient. And of course, getting into the Bitcoin standard using this stuff. Okay, well, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, changing people's habits, which is the most difficult thing to do ever, just people love doing the same thing, routine. They love structure. They hate change. I don't care how adventurous you are, deep down inside, it's just like wired into our DNA that like something new is dangerous. You could die, right? So think of it like, our ancestors, they're walking around back in the day, gathering fruits and berries and all sorts of stuff. Well, that strange berry over there that no one in your family has ever eaten could very well be poisonous. Hey, that cute looking cat over there, if you pet it, you might find out it has sharks and it's going to eat sharks, has sharp fangs and it's going to eat off your arm. So you know what? That new strange kitty, as cute as it is, I'm not going to go near it. We're just wired to avoid new things for that reason, for our own survival and so forth. And those of us that are a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more adventure seeking, not as much as risk adverse and just diving in, aping into everything. Well, we were probably eaten by lions, tigers, and cougars and stepped on by whatever is out there, right? Because that's just how it is, Nature has a way of weeding out the I'll just say the less fortunate. But anywho, so with this right here, this is infrastructure. These are patterns that people already know, right? And so they're running on the API. They just plug into this, like I said right here, using all this stuff, the infrastructure, all the everything, right? Like the processing, the things that happen in the back end. The front end user never has to care about that because all they know is they're using their feature phone, using the menus and the things that they're already used to that they've been using now for 20, 25, 30 years at this point, and is not really changing their habits. Don't even require them to have a smartphone. As you can see, these suites and so forth and whatnot. This is not very technical, right? This is not Walmart. They're not at Saks Fifth Avenue. It could just be a little shop. And this is how they're going to transfer and pay for things. So now, going to this right here, the shop owner who asked the right question. Now, going to this whole thing, not reading everything, summarizing what was going on here. After onboarding this shop owner, the shop owner is like, oh, this is amazing. This is fast, easy transfer. This is absolutely great. Well, I have family over in Tanzania. How can they send money to me here in Nigeria or vice versa, right? And that is a great question. Now you're asking border to border or cross-border remittances, cross-border payments, and that is a complete nightmare if you're using ACH, the SWIFT system, and all this stuff. But with this same feature phone, going into it, using the Bitcoin infrastructure, the Lightning infrastructure, if you will, using these APIs from the Blink wallet, they're able to do that. So great question there. So now you have a local merchant who was just onboarded selling sweets in a little shop, is now asking remittance and cross-border questions, which you can then use this as a tool to onboard him or her. You can onboard their family, their customers, everyone in the region. Now, also the family that's over in Tanzania looking to send money back to Nigeria, guess what they can do? They're now going to be Bitcoiners onboard into this whole thing. So what's really interesting with this now, again, plugging into what already exists, what people are already using Bitcoin now and bringing people onto this standard, using sats as money as it was intended to do or intended to be, it presents a different question. Well, if you're building on that, like, well, that starts to get very expensive. How do you expand this thing? Well, those of you that don't know how these Lightning nodes actually work and how Blink is set up and how this sending money through short codes actually works, there is a overhead fee. There is a setup fee, whether it is you are the one who's setting up the node and everyone's running off of it. So let's say, for example, here in the Flash wallet, right? Every single person that is using the Flash wallet, they have basically an email address, not really, but it says, username at, I forget what it is exactly, like Flash or LN Flash or something like that, right? And that's the node of which the infrastructure is running on, and the username is using the Flash wallet and able to connect with that. So the wallet provider, if you will, in that region is the one that does all the setting up, and then the users are coming on and just using subdomains, if you will, of that node and sending on that. So that's why there is no fees. And of course, you're in whichever local region that you're in, you're using that particular network, using those addresses. You don't have to be a technical person. You literally, just like you'd set up any app, plug in, use your cell phone on whatever it is, sign up for Twitter, whatever, YouTube, anything. That's exactly what you're doing with this. And you're able to use the Bitcoin wallets without really being technical. Now, connecting it to this the smart or this dumb phone, if you will, this feature phone requires a gateway, if you will, onto this USSDD system, this network, if you will, which is, I think when I did the research on it, was like $10,000 to set it up. And then there's ongoing monthly fees. Well, this gentleman, to test out proof of concept, partnered with someone which allowed them to use their already existing account. And he set this thing up, has everything running through one real, I guess you would say, real account, real wallet. And then he broke them up again, testing out proof of concept with, I believe it was 10 original people, and then onboarding people, seeing that it works. And that guy allowed him, or gal, allowed him to set this thing up for $500 as opposed to $10,000. And then now that this thing is proven, this actually works, go out and then, of course, start to figure out ways to be independent, sustainable, and build out your own thing. So I think it's just really cool. Again, the proof of concept, solving a real problem, tapping into the network, tapping into peers to fund this thing, subsidize the actual proof of concept, the MVP, to see that this thing actually works. There's demand for this thing by sharing the cost of someone who already has the port. Now he sees that there's demand. Now he can go forward. And I think that's a huge problem that we have, not just as Bitcoiners building stuff, or anyone that is technical for that matter. Like, technical people, curious people, first adopters, early people like to test stuff, be the guinea pig, test things out. And a lot of times, guess what? The developer doesn't really understand businesses, supply and demand, and so forth. It might be a problem that they might personally have. It's too small of a niche. It's not sustainable to cover the overhead cost, in this case, the $10,000, whatever it might be. So if you can ship a product at a very low cost, test the waters, if you will, whether that means, okay, you have an idea to build an app. Well, rather than launching an app and getting into the app store and spending all that money on marketing to then find out, hey, nobody really wants this, what you can actually do is build a web app, even now using Claude Code or ChatGPT, anything really. Get that MVP up, get a website up. You don't have an app in either Google or Apple iOS, but just connecting people with a web connection, you can test to see if there's demand. Yes, there is demand. Okay, cool. Now I can dedicate actual time into tweaking this. The MVP, minimum viable product, is something that it's not pretty. If you ship something and you first reveal it and you're happy with it and oh, this thing is awesome, it looks great, blah 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 blah, most likely you ship too late. You spent too much time, you spent way too much resources on it, and God forbid you find out that there is no demand for this thing. Well, you just wasted all of that time and money. So there's opportunity cost there. But then also you could have dedicated that to those resources to something else that could have been more productive, more solve more people's problems. And in many cases, if you're trying to run a business, then it would have been more profitable. But anyways, going back to this thing right here. So Rubit did 2 weeks of testing with those TED users. The shop owner wants to know about Tanzania. And of course, at this, it then opens up the discussion for another platform, if you will, which also now MalvaPay is doing various things as far as getting people on board, right? Again, this is a protocol, very localized, as you can see, the green and so forth. I mean, like very Nigerian in color and what have you. But let me just play this video right here of explaining what MalvaPay is. And hopefully, let me just make sure that the sound is coming through. Run this.
Africa. Imagine there was a way to send, spend, and save your Bitcoin and local currency across Africa.
Well, you don't have to imagine anymore because there's a way.
This is exactly why MalvaPay Money exists.
MalvaPay Money is an app for sending and receiving money globally,
without the usual complications.
With MalvaPay Money, African transactions are direct and seamless.
From Nigeria to Kenya to South Africa, you can now send and receive payments.
Zero middlemen.
And zero extra charges.
You can also receive foreign payments in dollars, pounds, and even Bitcoin.
Directly into your Naira, shilling, or Rand bank account. No hassle, no processing for 3 working days, lightning payments.
It is up to 90% cheaper than using traditional banks. Say hello to international transactions.
And that's not all. Here's the tea. With Mava Pay Money, you can now save in USD and grow your money in Bitcoin.
All in the same app.
It is secure, simple, and efficient.
Mava Pay Money is compliant to existing regulations and policies. So what are you waiting for?
Simplify everyday payments
And let your money move freely across Africa and the rest of the world.
Download Mava Pay Money on App Store or Play Store
to get started now.
Okay, so I played that video for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is a potential partner and a way to then on-ramp, off-ramp, get people into this system that this this app could potentially partnership with, right? So potential integrations right here for the markets like Nigeria, where the off-ramp infrastructure is more developed. Now, okay, a lot of people are thinking, what, off-ramp? I thought we're talking about Bitcoiners here. Like, why would you want any kind of off-ramp? Okay, so here's the thing, right? So if your family's in Tanzania or wherever it is, you're living in Nigeria and they're sending money back home, and yes, you're using Bitcoin and using this ecosystem, circular economies would mean then you go out and find merchants that would accept Bitcoin as payment and so forth, and you keep it circulating, right? Obviously, yes, that's what a circular economy is. But in the case of you are in rural, wherever you do have some power and electricity, that electric company might not ever, if even if they will in the future, let's just be optimistic and say in the future they will accept Bitcoin as payment, right? Okay, positive, good vibes. That's what's happening. But today they will not, right? So you have 30 days to pay your bill or else your electric is going to go off. Are you going to wait for them to start accepting Bitcoin, or are you going to need an off ramp? Or if you're in the case of a merchant, you have a supplier that is international that's not accepting Bitcoin. You can't even negotiate with them because they want their goods paid for in US dollars or yuan or wherever it is. Well, you're going to need an off ramp, and like solutions like Mava then partners with them. So again, you got the MVP, you have the problem, you roll this thing out, you have your test group, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is. They're starting to ask questions. They're seeing value in this. They're onboarding, bringing their family and friends, other merchants, other customers into this thing. And then you start to find, okay, well, in order to meet this demand, because there's some real legs here, we're going to build this thing out. Let's start looking for local solutions that are already developed rather than building or reinventing the wheel. Let's find things that are already out there that can solve our current problem. That's the cool thing about the developer community, connecting with other Bitcoiners, open source software, and all this stuff. You can plug a lot of these APIs in together and you can start to work with them and use it. But here we go again. So building on Blink and what it looks like in practice. So again, these feature phones, literally right there, you can see this is not a beautiful thing. So you dial the *220*4 number sign for the menu. The menu pops up. You start seeing different things. You can see the transaction history, 100 sats, plus 200 sats, minus 100 sats. So you're sending, receiving, and you're seeing this in a terrible looking UI. But guess what? If you have a feature phone, this is what you're used to. This is what your menu looks like. This is how you top up your phone. This is how you're sending US dollars anyways. So why not start using sats in the same way? And that is the beautiful thing of it. You can plug in, again, what is already there, adapt this technology to your local community and solve the local problems. And that's how like this stuff happens. So again, we're touching literally all bases on this thing, right? So those of you that are just tuning in for the very first time, we are looking at this particular gentleman's building here, what he did. He went through the Trezor Academy, learned about Bitcoin, became a Bitcoiner, got connected with the dev community, saw what was going on in his local community, the various problems that merchants and people were having with remittance. Said, hey, this would be great to get them on the Bitcoin standard using Lightning, but nobody has smartphones, or even if they do have smartphones, there's no data service up here in these rural communities and so forth. They're barely, 2 bars on just regular calling service. Well, if you're topping up your phone and using this stuff to sell dollars using USDD or USSD, well, guess what? You can then plug into all of that and open source technology, use APIs and all sorts of stuff, and just connect that up to Bitcoin. So that's what he did right there. That is how he built this thing. And it's actually a really, really, really admirable and cool thing. I really love what he's doing right here. But coming back to this right here, as you can see, he again just rolling this thing out, testing this out, and this is the part where it says really that it was 10,000 ongoing and plus ongoing monthly fees to continue doing that. Now, as someone who didn't know that there was any demand, you were just testing that out and you're coming from one of these communities. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for Americans, right? So imagine in Jamaica, for example, where I'm at currently, 10,000 US dollars would be what is that? That is what is that? $1.6 million or something like that. I think it's $1.6 million, right? So that is a lot of local currency that you would then turn into find out that what you're building, there's no demand for. Nobody really wants that. So you can test that out, right? At the bare minimum, you get this partnership, if you will. You work with someone who owns that actual thing that he already paid or she already paid that $10,000. You just give them $500. You test this thing out, see if there's a market for it. And again, here's that word that we used, MVP, minimum viable product, and you ship that thing, right? Anyone that has developed an app knows how it is. But what he's building towards, as you can see right here, these are young people. These are people that are obviously they've been impacted by the various problems of the financial struggles. I mean, it is real out here, guys. And now they're exposed to Bitcoin. They're exposed to the solution. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to be enthusiastic to then go out and share this with other people. They're going to come in. And that is what onboarding looks like in the real world, my friends. This is these people, these faces, these curious people. This Rubit right here. This is why it's so cool, in my opinion, because it scratches all the areas that are just absolutely amazing to me. All right. These happy faces, if that's not feel good, I don't know what is, right? These Bitcoiners have been onboarded. This gentleman right here went through the Trezor Academy, as I said, looked around the world, saw all the problems that he could solve using Bitcoin. As you can see, Bitcoin accepted here, like very common thing in a lot of places. Went out there, connected with this MavaPay, connected, found out, got some resources from the Plan B network, connected with the Trezor Academy, got in connection with all of the builders, and he went and solved the problem. So kudos to you, my friend, Mr. Wilfred. And I highly apologize. I've been calling you Wilfred this whole time because this last name right here, Chapuiro, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. My bad, my man. I just wanted to say, Wilfred, congratulations there of being a true Bitcoiner, onboarding your people, solving an amazing problem. And hopefully this thing works out. Hopefully this inspires you wherever you are in the world to then go out, look around, find some local problems, go solve it, get connected, learn about Bitcoin, not just chart go up. What's the price doing today? Oh, we're not at an all-time high, right? Oh, it's the end of the world. No, if you're solving real world problems with this thing, it doesn't matter where the market is, bull market, bear market, or as I like to say, bull market or builder's market. You are impacting lives and you're using Bitcoin, and that is to be celebrated, to be highlighted. And that's what we do here on the Good Bit Show on Wolf Bitcoin. So again, my name is Taj. Every single Saturday, this is what we do. Those of you that don't know, you're not familiar with the process, Wolf Bitcoin, the whole Wolf crew, we put out so much content every single day, holidays even, all the time. And tomorrow, Kate is going live with another space and live streams, interview. There's just so much going on. So whether you're into TradFi, whether you are into trading, you are into investing, whether you are into Bitcoin, whether you're into the tech of all of this stuff, blockchain technology in general, there's something here for you, my friend. And this particular show, Saturday evenings, every single Saturday, I host this and highlight all the amazing things again within positive Bitcoin stories, whether it is circular economies, the tech that allows for the onboarding and the adoption worldwide. That's the stuff that we like to highlight. And hopefully this was uplifting to you. If you enjoyed this, highly recommend and would appreciate it if you share this with a friend. Let us know what you thought of it, the story, of course, any other stories that may come across your desk that you think is worth highlighting, some, giving it some good bits, brightening up people's timelines and days. Let us know. Send us a DM. We love to hear from you guys. And as usual, have a nice weekend. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really appreciate it because you could be doing a million things on a Saturday afternoon. And in particular, those of you that, of course, shared and commented. Let me see really quick. I realize, by the way, that every single time that I am talking about the comment section, not all of them come through where I could share them, because I know other comments came through that I did not see and they're not coming through on the screen. So really quick, I'm going to look over here to see who dropped some comments. Oh, okay. I see from Cade, Bitcoin Jamaica, big up the Jamaicans. Yes, Jamaica. Let's Go Bitcoiners. Yeah, that's from Wolf Crypto and Kate as well, and others. So yeah, no, really appreciate every single person dropping comments, messages, and so forth. And as usual, we will be here again. And I already gave the plug for the show for Cade tomorrow. So see you guys on the next one. My name is Taj. Have a great rest of the weekend. And remember to go touch some grass. If not today, tomorrow, and do it around the wolf schedule. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely spend some time with your family, have some fun. And it is been great. Have a good one.